Okay, let's start. BIFAN Beyond Reality is spotting pop-up studios this year. The studio's new project, Namu, Baba Yaga, and Paperbirds are exhibiting along with Bonfire and The Crow, which was invited by BIFAN 2019. Today, let's talk with the main characters of our studios who inspire VR animators around the world and present a new way of expression for each work. CEO Maureen Fan, and CCO Eric Donnell, and CTO Larry Cutler, and Head of Content Ken Lee, and the director Eric O, who directed Namu. First of all, I'm gonna show you a short video of my exhibition. It will help to understand my exhibition. Yep. You may see your booth with small trees. First of all, I'd like to plant a real baobab tree, but I couldn't make it. But Korean audience really like your contents. Every tickets are sold out for baobab section. Your studio is very well known to this area, but Korean audience, some Korean audience may know your studio in this time. So I'd like to ask you introduce your studio with a short history and how to found this studio or something like that. Maureen, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Maureen. I'm CEO, co-founder of Baobab Studios. And we started our studio about a little more than 5 years ago. Fell in love with virtual reality, and I've always loved animation. And the reason why we love animation is because it takes you to completely different worlds and makes those worlds feel so real that you think you could reach out and touch it. And what I just said also happens to be the definition of VR. So VR and animation were made for one another. So we started this company along that vision. And I'll let Eric and Larry talk about why it is that they, the two other co-founders, why they also wanted to start this company together. But we found each other within a span of about 2 months. And we set out to create stories and characters that would be wonderful in VR, but also across any medium, because a good story, good characters can be effective in any single medium. But VR is special to us because in VR, you get to be a character who actually matters to the rest of the characters, and you actually have the ability to matter to those other characters and make choices that actually impact the story. So the mission of our company is to inspire the world to dream by bringing out your sense of wonder, make you matter. And that last sentence, make you matter, is very important to us because it's about putting you, the audience member, into the story. And we feel that VR just really allows you to do that in a way that many other mediums cannot.
Great, great. I wrote on your mission statement on the panel on your booth. Yeah. So since 5 years, what do you think of XR market and audience? Is it expanding, or are there any good signs you can speak of?
I think VR overall for the industry is expanding like crazy. I think two things happened. One is the Quest happened. So having a wireless headset really helps a lot. Sales are way exceeding expectations. But on top of that, the pandemic actually also accelerated sales for people trying out headsets. So we do see a huge uptick in VR users. That being said, it's not all the same. It's not just everybody. It's specifically gamers that are coming online. And it's not a surprise given that a lot of these headset manufacturers are marketing their headsets as gaming machines, like as though they're mini consoles. So of course, if you're marketing as a gaming console and marketing to gaming people, most of the new users coming on are gamers. Now, we happen to create interactive narrative experiences, and we're also creating games as well. But for the interactive narrative space, there isn't as large of a market for that. That being said, Oculus and all these headsets don't want to only do games. They also want to make sure that VR can do other things as well. And so we've been very fortunate that given the performance of our past projects and animations, that they performed really well. And so they're always looking for showcase pieces. And so these headset manufacturers have always been very supportive of us. But I want to be clear that the market for like narrative pieces is not growing like as like exponentially as say games. It doesn't mean that there's no space for them, but it's just like predominantly games right now. But it is still good that people are actually starting to make money in VR.
Oh, great news. So could you tell me about the numbers after Quest is popular to people? Because many Korean artists are really curious about that.
I can't tell you headset manufacturer numbers because we're signed NDAs and are not allowed to share. Those are publicly, what is out there, you can read in articles. I can say for us, we have over 35 million views.
Oh, great number. Okay, Kane, the 2D animation market is still much larger. Is Baobab making 2D and VR animation at the same time, or is it focusing on only VR? You're muted. Yep.
We're doing both. So when we set out to use VR and explore VR, it was really out of a love for animation and wanting to push the boundaries of animation. And we feel like we can do that in multiple ways. But the immersive technologies and the advent of the current tools in VR were just very exciting to us. So Eric Darnell, our co-founder, was one of the early pioneers in computer animation in the 1990s and won one of the very first awards at Annecy Film Festival for that. And now fast forward to the past 5 or 6 years, and we're in that sort of same position as a indie startup studio to make an impact in this new space using immersive technologies. In terms of like our ability to work in 2D, it's actually happened very organically. We were in the media quite a bit a few years ago because we made the first ever VR to film Hollywood deal in history. That was when the former Disney chairman and Fox chairman Joe Roth came aboard to produce Invasion. And what's been surprising ever since then is that we've been approached more and more by Hollywood every year to adapt our IP that we've been experimenting with in the VR and AR and XR space into major movie franchises, series, streaming series, and interactive series. We even signed the first ever first look deal to turn our IP from our startup into movies for 20th Century Fox, now Disney, with several projects under option. So why is this happening? I would maybe say three things. Number one, on a purely creative level, if you're going to experience an animated world and characters inside of a VR headset, you're going to remember them like you remember meeting someone in real life. So, just on like a creative level, the power of VR has such an impact on people who try our experiences. Number two, people are excited because we're always trying to do new things in VR. We're breaking the fourth wall. We're understanding this idea of not just branching narrative, but branching emotions. We're playing with scale and things that filmmakers like Eric Darnell and Eric O have really pioneered in. And so people are very excited to work with us. And then number three, we also happen to be, a pioneer in this new space, but we have such a track record in traditional 2D. Eric Darnell is one of the most successful writer-directors in animation history with 5 movies under his belt. And so having Eric and then investors like Sherry Redstone and Peter Chernin and advisors like the co-founder of Pixar, Alvy Ray Smith, and DreamWorks, Glenn Entis, backing us gives people a lot of security that we're going to innovate, but then we're also going to deliver. So we're in a really interesting place as a studio right now where the 2D animation space is exploding and the interactive animation space is just in its like very early stages, but is very, very exciting as well.
Great. Lady, I'm gonna ask you about the interaction design. From Inbei전 to Baba Yaga, Baobab Studios showcase innovation in the form of expression in VR animation. What is the process of planning, directing, and selecting some techniques for these works, especially for how to make interaction?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's really been at the heart of all of our interactive VR pieces, all the way back to Invasion. And with each project, first of all, we always start with the story, and kind of the story drives the interactivity, the interaction, the technology that we build. But there has been kind of a common through line, which Maureen mentioned up front, which is that we have this great opportunity to place you directly inside the story in VR, and as Maureen said, to make you matter. And so each of our projects has been an experiment in how can we make you matter, as it relates to the story that we're telling. And so then from that, we actually we basically design the experiments that we're going to run to sort of support that. And so with each project, we've pushed the boundaries in different ways. So in Invasion, that was our first project. And for us, it was like, hey, can we actually have an empathetic character that you fall in love with in the same way that you would in a film, but that you're really there with? And that ended up being Chloe the bunny. And so we kind of pushed the limits of just you being able to have a bunny hop up to you, look you in the eye, and all of a sudden, like people are just reacting as if Chloe's real and just doing, things that we just never expected, whether it's hopping around like a bunny or mirroring what Chloe's doing or trying to reach out and pet her. With Asteroids, which was a follow-up to Invasion, we really were diving much more deeply into interactivity, where because we had hand controllers and we understood more what we were doing, how can you actually help these aliens mac and cheese on their journey? How can you actually really make a difference and help save one of the characters' lives? And so that was very humbling in some sense, because what you do actually really impacts how characters think about you, your relationship to other characters. And so with each project, you fast forward to our more recent projects like Baba Yaga, and with that, we really want the actions that you take to have consequence. You are the hero character in the story, and the decisions that you make actually have a profound impact on the ending. And so, we've kind of come full circle, where now with a project like Baba Yaga, we have these characters that are completely changing what they do based on the interactions that you have with them. And, you have these kind of AI characters that are human and they're really reacting to you. And so it's been a really big evolution. I think with each project, we've adapted our process and our tool set and just made it stronger so that we can we can really push sort of how we tell these stories, and especially how as an audience you feel like you're placed in the story and that what you do actually makes a difference. And so I think it's just been an evolutionary process.
Yeah, great. I'd like to ask you, Eric Dano, about Baba Yaga. A characteristic part of Baba Yaga is that it also shows multiple different endings. However, setting a junction that leads to a different ending is quite sophisticated. So I'm letting the audience who see Baba Yaga for the first time have a different ending, which they find very interesting and want to play Baba Yaga again. However, if the audience is not informed of that part, many audiences may be unaware of the existence of different endings. Do you want the audience to experience both endings, or do you think it's okay to ignore them? And do you think this kind of ending is effective when creating VR content?
Well, I think that to answer the second part, I think being able to have an impact and affect the story is one of the great and super cool things about real-time VR. We're not pre-rendering anything, so you can do things and characters can react to what you do and maybe can react differently depending upon what you do. And so, yeah, I think having the potential to have an impact because of the choices that you make in the world that you're in is super powerful, because that's what's going to make you feel like you matter. Like there's a reason why you're there. The other characters need you, the story needs you, and the decisions that you make, which are, I think, the best decisions are not necessarily like, okay, pick a door. Do you want to go through the red door or the blue door? That's a meaningless choice. It's just kind of random. But when you can give the viewer the opportunity to make a choice that's a reflection of who they are, if you could put them in a situation where they feel like they're under some sort of pressure and they have to think about, well, who am I? What kind of choice will I make? What kind of person am I? And those can be the most powerful choices, because that's where real storytelling happens. Even in traditional, storytelling, it's the decisions that characters make under pressure that really reveal something about who they are. And so we can make those choices feel really meaningful if you do feel like you may go this way if you make one choice, and the story may go that way if you make another choice. People, I think, generally, our hope is that they are aware that there's different choices, because clearly, you're given this decision in Baba Yaga to decide what kind of witch are you going to be. And it's a pretty clear decision that you have to make. And so I would hope that it would be obvious to most people that, I want to go back in and try it again because I want to be a different kind of a witch, or I want to, allow Magda the opportunity to do what I did last time and see what happens there. And so I think that, it is a brand new medium, and people may not always, especially when they're coming to VR for the first time, may not recognize that all the possibilities that can exist with this medium, that, it's not like a movie. You're not on a rail, you actually can have an impact on the world around you. And I think as people get more experience and more savvy, I think, more and more people will recognize that these options exist for them and that they are meaningful, and they'll want to go back and try different things and see how it impacts it when they try something different.
It's interesting. We actually put a lot of user testing to actually make it so that people realized that they were actively making a choice. Like one of the things, because as Eric said, VR is so new, is that for a while when you have this choice of, do I become the witch and take the mask, or do I let Magda do that? And a lot of people just didn't realize in time that they had to make that choice. And so there was an incredible amount of, going back to the interaction, incredible amount of effort just to make you register that there's a choice, understand that there is, and then have time to actually decide, and then have everything react however you decide, like, when you take the mask, how to, all those different things, so it feels seamless. So that wasn't just happenstance. There's a lot of effort, especially in a medium where you're actually there. And, when you take the mask relative to what Magda's doing can really change.
Yeah, and we do, we try this stuff out. We bring in some guinea pigs and we test things out, and then we even ask questions afterwards. So we're pretty confident that the vast majority of people understand that there are these options available to them. And although, as Larry's saying, like, we might think that they're going to understand it when we build it a certain way, and then we realize, oh my God, nobody's making a decision. What are we doing wrong? Because it's not their fault, it's our fault. But that's the process for us. Every project we do is an experiment. Every project we do is something where we set out to learn something about what this medium can be and how audiences react to it. So it's been a series of steps and education for us as we've moved through this. And one way to get that education is to really bring in audiences and really study how they react and respond.
Yeah, there's a little disconnected when you talk in the last, but it'll be okay. Okay. Personally, Jack VR is still considered the best Baobab's work to me. Although many audiences cannot experience that project, I think the strong sense of immersion that the immersive theater genre has is an advantage. I'd like to thank you for coming to Korea, Kane, in 2018, I guess. To give workshop to our students and give us a lot of advice. As you may already know, that Scarecrow, which invited Sundance 2020, was born from your inspiration you gave. Do you have any plans to continue making this type of work, or a plan to finish Jack VR?
Well, I think we had a very amazing opportunity in 2018 where my co-founders here, Larry, Eric, and Maureen, gave us permission to have produced this amazing production with Matthias Schallberg and Oscar-winning actor Lupita Nyong'o. It was our ultimate experiment 3 years ago in creating a live animated experience where you play Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk, with live actors playing multiple other characters, and where everything you see you can actually physically touch, move, smell, and interact with. So it was really a combination of VR animation and live immersive theater. As amazing as that was, we've continued, what we've really done since Jack is use techniques of theater to improve us in other work that could be spread to more audiences around the world. So it was an amazing time at Tribeca to be able to show it to the people that we were able to show it to, including yourself, Jay, including Eric O. But we definitely, as a studio, want as many people around the world, no matter where they are, to be able to see our experiences. So we've borrowed and learned from theater. We've used theatrical lighting techniques and staging in Crow the Legend and in Baba Yaga. Instead of needing live actors for our stories to improvise and respond unpredictably but believably to you inside of our stories, Larry and our brilliant engineers have created our first AI characters in Bonfire. We would love to complete the Jack experience, but I can't tell you how happy I am, Jay, that you and Korea University of the Arts invited me to come speak with your students later that year, and then they went on a year later to create their own immersive VR experience, theater experience that went on to Sundance and right before the pandemic, and then won so many awards last year. So we'll definitely keep trying.
Okay, great. We're testing some kind of technique with VR chat or some other platforms. So if I can secure some budget for that, I will let you know about that.
Thank you.
I hope, yeah. And Eric O, when I saw the concept art of Namu, it was so beautiful. And in the end, it turns out to be a truly beautiful and touching piece of project. The audience of BIFAN can experience Namu with two different types, to the animation and VR project. They seem to be lucky. Yeah, in one time they can experience both type of project. How did you get into making VR animation, and what's the difference between 2D animation and VR?
Well, first of all, thank you for such a warm message. That's amazing. So from the get-go, I think we were kind of like talking about making this into two different versions, but the same story. The reason why we did that is, because all the stuff, as you heard from everybody in the room, I also believe in the power and the strength of VR, just to really maximize this experiential experience part of it. So kind of really wanted to take the full advantage of that. But at the same time, I never was able to give up on the cinematic experience as well. So like in conclusion, we decided to make both versions, right? I think the goal is the same. The story is the same. And then experience and then the feeling that I wanted the audience to walk away with after watching the film or VR version was the same, that emotion. And then that really make you think about your life and think about all the spiritual experience, right? But we couldn't the approach and the process was completely different because it's literally two different mediums. So let's talk about, let's say there's watercolor painting and there's oil color painting. You cannot paint watercolor with oil kind of like paste, right? So that's how I saw it. For example, in cinema, you can play around the camera movement, and that really showcases the director's perspective, right? And the cut and the camera movement, zooming in, cranking up and down, and pacing, and surround musical, like the arc. And there are so many detailed things we can control in cinema. And then that's we really wanted to maximize in the cinematic version. On the other hand, in VR, we don't have actually any of that. We do, but it's kind of like it will turn out to be a failure if we try to actually achieve that through, what we do in cinema. So, but instead, what we can do in VR is literally, as I said, in prior to this experience, you are technically transferred to this physical environment. So when it rains, it just pours down on you. When there's a thunderstorm, it's not like you're seeing it from the far away. You are sitting in the middle of the thunderstorm. So the emotional impact is crazy, right? And then one other thing, I was able to, this is such a collaborative process that I really deeply appreciate for Baobab, is changing the perspective and scale of the viewers. So, and then we utilize it as a story tool. So basically, as you follow the character's life from the birth all the way to the last chapter, there are some moments where you become really close to yourself, but there are moments you start losing yourself. But that's what life is. You sometimes get lost, and that's when everything goes miniature, for example. And that there's a symbol and metaphor behind it. And then when you snap back to reality, everything becomes a real life. So those things we can even never imagine to achieve in cinematic version, right? So that's how we made those two versions, hopefully successfully. So I'm really, again, excited to share both with Korean audiences, through this event. So yeah.
Great, thanks. So Namu was created by Quill. So
Yes.
why did you choose the Quill, and is there any challenges when you tried Quill?
There were many challenges because Quill, it's probably by far the biggest collaboration between Quill artists, because Quill is actually meant for only few people or just one artist to actually, execute just one nice painting. So it was actually a big challenge for us to actually team up with a few amazing Quill artists to work together as a team. But like we found so many grateful things on the way. But going back to your first question, why Quill? I think two reasons behind it. One is really simply aesthetics, because from the get-go, I kind of wanted to create that's very hand touchy, like very warmth, and only traditional medium can and do. And then, but I also wanted to make it three-dimensional, like it's very, because we are playing around the space, right? So, and then Quill actually allow artists to achieve both, because Quill is literally you're painting hand by hand. It's nothing's computer generated, to be fair. So that and then the brush strokes and how we get to actually paint and everything, that aesthetic is probably not achievable by any other mediums in my knowledge. So that's one thing. And the other one was actually the first reason I actually told you, I kind of wanted to create a small team. We never wanted actually to blow up as a big production. Let's so get together and then see what comes out, because when there's a creative limitations or unknowns, that's when new magic sometimes comes to life. We probably actually wanted to believe in that, I guess.
Okay. Paperbird. I'd like to ask you about Paperbird. It's produced by Srida in Argentina. Paperbird is also well received by Korean audience. They love that contents, and they love to use their own hand when they experience that project. What was the role of Baobab Studios, and why did you pick this project as a co-production?
Sure. So Paper Birds, which just launched yesterday on Oculus Quest, so everyone get it, is an amazing collaboration that Baobab has had with the lead animation studio 3DAR in Argentina and Facebook Oculus. And just like moving into creating 2D experiences happened very organically for Baobab, so has our expanding role as an executive producer for other emerging animation studios. And with partners who are super excited about animation like John Legend and Jennifer Hudson. So we're big fans of working with the next generation of leading animators and directors in the world, like Eric O, and 3DAR Studios, which we consider to be the most exciting leading independent animation studio in Latin America. So these conversations happened really naturally. Like Namu happened because Eric and I happened to be in Seoul for BIFAN 2 years ago and an art exhibition. And then the same with Paper Birds. We were going to a lot of the same festivals, and a lot of younger animators and directors in interactive were approaching Baobab for advice and to see if we might be willing to partner to bring our experience and sort of our track record in being able to not just develop and create artistically these experiences, but also to help deliver them to an audience worldwide. So Paper Birds was just something where they wanted to do something bigger than their previous projects. They were thinking about building a big world and about expanding it beyond what they had been doing with their previous projects. So we talked about it creatively, and then we found a structure where we could be supportive and complementary as studios. So it's been an amazing journey this year and a half. We were both working on hand tracking at the same time before it came out, so I'm glad the Korean audiences really enjoyed it in Paper Birds because it's so organic and natural, very music driven. And the other thing I'll say is that they're from Argentina, and that's just really exciting to us at Baobab Studios. So Maureen is actually one of the only female minority CEOs at the intersection of Hollywood and Silicon Valley. So since we started 6 years ago, she's made it a priority for our studio to uplift voices that are not heard very often, and voices that have a unique lens into viewing the world and telling stories. So that's why all of our experiences have featured diverse cast, diverse talent, diverse filmmakers, people who have such unique sensibilities, like Eric O. So 3DAR definitely very much felt into that, and they're now a part of our family.
Yeah. So I'd like give next question to Maureen. So do you have another plan for co-production, or can you tell me about your next project a little?
We have a lot of projects, so there's not one specific one. We have several VR games. We have several movies, and we have several series. And I could tell you one that's been announced, or two books that have been announced. So we have one book series with Penguin Random House, multi-book series, as well as graphic novel with first, second books with Macmillan. Projects in many different mediums. So that's what I can publicly say right now, but we have additional co-productions, several co-productions coming that we're working on right now as well.
Oh, great.
Very busy, but it's exciting.
Yeah, really looking forward to your game. I imagine how the game is look like, you know, Baobab's game is maybe different with other VR games, right?
Well, you can always imagine that there's with what Baobab is especially good at is narrative, and also with characters, right? So there's going to be strong characters and strong narrative in these games. And ultimately, our business model is creating great IP, so great characters and stories that can transcend beyond mediums. So that's really important to us. My background actually was mostly in games prior to starting this company. I was at Zynga for, I believe it was 6 years, maybe more of that, as vice president of games looking over the Farmville franchise. So, and we have a lot of talent in our studio that is also games, which has served us really well, especially since in VR we've been doing interactive narratives, which means that we've had to, weave the interactivity and narrative and make sure they work well together. And it's really difficult, honestly, to have those two work seamlessly together, because oftentimes people from the gaming world have preconceived notions of how things should be done. People from the film world think in a different way, and trying to get them to, throw out everything they know in a way and create something new is very difficult. So I'm very proud of our team for having been able to do that. And the game that we are creating, or actually games that we are creating, I'm even more proud of what we're going to do with that, because it's not going to be something that is going to be different from other games out there, for sure.
Great. So when can we experience your game? Or when are you expecting the release date?
I think next year, in the first half of next year, would probably be the first one.
Wow.
But who knows? Everything always, in production, everything changes. So who knows?
Yeah, right. That's right. And in my exhibition, many Korean audience love Baobab's project, but there's a big hurdle, there's a big language barriers. So many Koreans who doesn't understand English, it's very hard to follow the interaction or narrative. So do you have a plan to make a Korean dubbing for your project, or?
Yes, if you want to give me lots of money to do it. we're a startup. So, also, by the way, Baba was one of the producers, of course, is Oculus, who worked on it with us. So, but we are very open to partnerships for those who are interested in helping us translate to other mediums. But the main thing with translation, though, there could be subtitles is doable, but if we wanted to do voice, we would want great actors. We have this amazing cast, right, with Kate Winslet, Daisy Ridley, Jennifer Hudson, Glenn Close, right? So we need that caliber performance. I mean, there's a reason why they're famous is because they're really good at what they do, right? Eric's always because Eric has worked with such amazing talent in his previous career too. And so if we're very open, if there's any Korean partners who want to help us translate and find great talent and cast to work with us, we're totally open to it.
Great. It's been an hour already, so please say a word for the fans of Baobab Studios in Korea.
Wait, why you want someone to say a word?
Yeah.
I think it should be Kane.
You were gonna ask Eric for to say some words to the fans of the studio in Korea. I have.
Wait, are we like, this is what's happening, like pushing this burden to someone else? No, basically, so what's going on? It's like, can you or something?
Well, I'm just looking at the questions that were sent ahead of time. Please say a word for the fans of Baobab Studios in Korea.
Yeah, less the word for
Like a word, like some sentences, like not a word.
Yeah.
One word.
Inspire,
love.
Eric. Eric,
Love.
inspire.
Baobab is love. I don't inspire, inspiration, all those things, I mean, because that's what it is. We're able to hear from all of us, we do care about those two themes, actually, inspiration, and also we are talking about human story, so I think with those, I don't know, hope tomorrow, I'm going to personally meet some audiences, thankfully, so I wish we could actually share more thoughts and emotions together in one room physically, hopefully. So yeah, but you should be really Kane or Marine to say that, not me. But
Sure. I really miss being in Korea, and Baobab is so lucky to have Eric O there this summer, who made Korea so proud with his Oscar nomination this past year, and we're really proud to be presenting Namu with. But really, we hope to be helping to encourage and inspire sort of the new generation of artists and animators and innovators to help Korea really be on the map as a place, not just to enjoy VR, but also to create it. So hope we can provide just a little bit of inspiration along the way.
I would say Korea is having this amazing creative renaissance, I would say, over the last many years, from everything from Minari, even though I know it's Korean American, to Eric O's Oscar nomination, to Parasite. It seems like all the hotness is coming out of Korea. So I'm just really excited to see what else is going to come out of Korea in many different mediums, not just in film. I'm excited to see what's going to come for VR. And we, in particular, at Baobab, are really excited about bringing in new international talent, directors that have different points of view. So if you have a project that is really interesting, has a strong point of view, we'd love to hear it.
Great. Yeah. About Larry and Eric?
I just want to say that, let's see, what can I add to this? I really just want to say that, we, for the last 6 years, have been lucky enough to be inspired by others, by our, people we looked up to in computer animation, and to try things that, that seemingly hadn't been done before, because VR is such a new medium for storytelling. And so just to, everyone who is an artist, a filmmaker, an experimenter, that to really, just jump in and to do it. And, of course, anyone who's interested in partnering with us or working with us, we're always looking for great talent. And, but, really, we hope that, we've been inspired, and that's led to a lot of the stuff that we've done at Baobab. And, hopefully it maybe in some small way we can inspire others to, to continue and to do amazing things. And we look forward to seeing that.
Great, thank you.
Well, one of the things that's been so great, for us, it's definitely been fun to explore and see what VR can be. And in many ways, I feel like we're all on like the shores of this undiscovered continent called VR. And even though we've made a number of projects in VR. There's so much to discover. You know, we're just scratching the surface, and we're just now sharpening our machetes and starting to like go into this foreign land, this jungle, whatever it is, and discover what VR can really be. And so I think that, as Larry was sort of saying, you know, for anybody out there that's excited or interested about this, you know, you don't have to wait for somebody to give you permission. You know, you don't have to collect vast amounts of knowledge, because it just doesn't exist. What the industry and the medium really needs, and the art form needs, are people who are just willing to be an explorer and willing to be an experimenter, are willing to fail and make the discoveries that one makes as an artist when you fail, so that the next time you can be a success. So we look forward to seeing what everybody does and learning from what everybody does in the months and years to come. And finally, I just want to say it's really an honor to be a part of your festival and to be able to bring our work to a lot of, you know, real dedicated fans of Baobab. And so it's gratifying and lovely to be able to come to Korea and be a part of what's happening there with your festival. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much for your words. Really hope to invite you guys to Korea in meantime, and really invite you to my festival in the physical world. Yeah, and thank you for your times, and thank you for your good words. And it was a wonderful time for me and Korean fans of Baobab. And I will let you know about. I'll let you know about the reviews of Korean audience later. Okay, and yeah, it was so good. I will release this video to YouTube, and may Korean audience know your project well, and looking for your so many projects released in next year. And yeah, we will enjoy that project. Yeah. Thank you guys, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jay.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
That's great.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.